Welcome to the Social Club with me, Ped. I'm joined by Paul Merson, Ste. We're here to talk about Marco Silva, the Watford manager, and should Paul Merson apologise to him for those disgraceful comments last year when...
And this year, mate.
And this year and last year, where he's not having him, is he? Because
he's clearly just decided.
Because basically, he ain't English. Let's be honest.
Badly.
What does he know about the Premier League?
Oh no, we're just. Funnily enough, I'd forgotten because a lot of this was based on we were chatting about this and how it came out on Twitter. He predicted them to go down this season because he was like, "Oh, that's Silva raising your reputation by getting relegated with Hull." No, not. But I found the original one because it's a belter. I could win the league with Olympiacos. They've won it 107 times and it's only been going 106 years. Why is this geezer any different to Gary Rowett? I mean, we know he's a knobhead.
No, but I mean, is this one of the problems with English football is that we've been so saturated with foreign players and certainly foreign managers that people who clearly don't do their homework just look at... Actually, this might be a problem for the whole country. Looks at one just like the next one and doesn't do the homework to see why someone is being appointed to the job they're given.
No, I think that's spot on. I understand it. If you were Joe Bloggs on the street who had, you follow your football club and that's all it is, and you get your sporting news from headlines and from the Red Tops and whatever, you would just see, here's another manager coming in with a foreign name that I've not really heard. Oh, he's managed in Greece, who gives a shit? We've seen plenty of them come in, haven't we? Guys, you've had a little bit of success, whatever. You'd throw them in with, the list is absolutely endless, and most of them have managed the likes of Portsmouth, haven't they? You know what I mean? And everything in between.
And Portsmouth, yeah.
Yeah.
Just Portsmouth.
Largely just Portsmouth. So I get that, but this guy is a professional pundit.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's supposed to be getting paid to have an insightful, educated opinion, and I want to burst out laughing saying those words in the same sentence when I'm talking about Paul Merson.
It's an absolute disgrace, is the top and bottom of it. He did about as much research as, like, you just ask a 5-year-old in the street something, and they're just going to blurt it out. They're not going to consider what you've just asked them. They're just going to go, ugh. And
I've asked my 5-year-old, at least he'd say it like he'd make his name sound like poo. And then we'd laugh, because that'd be quite funny. But you know what I mean? I would go, that's 5-year-old humour, still funny. But that
still
is
more qualified than Paul Merson.
No, but exactly. But that's old boys club hanging around the golf course after a few bevies and going, oh, the foreigners, these.
Effectively, it's the old, why hasn't Harry Redknapp got the job club, isn't it? I mean, that's essentially what it is, isn't it?
Hasn't he said that?
Didn't he actually say, it wasn't Redknapp, was it? There was someone that he said, why can't you give it to X? And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Giggs.
No, Merson said, it wasn't Merson who said, again, I think he said if you gave Harry Redknapp, he was more tactically clued in than Arsene Wenger or some shit like that. He's a moron. He's a moron.
I understand why he does Soccer Saturday, because he's
loud.
He's loud, and it's great for the off, and it is all about.
And listen, we all know about being loud when talking about.
But it's all about the bants, isn't it, and all that for that, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because it's.
But shouldn't we get better than that?
Well, we should. But this takes me back to, I think it was 2010 World Cup in South Africa, and I think it was Alan Shearer was asked about a certain player and didn't know anything about him, and apparently before the World Cups, FIFA give you a book, literally like that, a fact file on every single player. And surely if you're a pundit and you're on, however, BBC are paying you or ITV, it's your job to go away and do the research, or even just before that one particular match, just sit down for an hour before the game. Or even if someone does something while you're watching the match, just go, you know what?
Have a little flick.
Like when you're on the phone, you're watching something, you go, who's that? And you go, oh, I'll just wiki that then quick. And then you become an instant expert on that person. Surely it is these people's jobs. They're there to educate us, or supposedly, on footballers. And yet they come out with comments like that, which have no bearing. But then suddenly influence people on how we're supposed to feel about people coming to our country, or not even people, anyone doing a job in football. Ex-England man says they're terrible and you should give it to Harry Redknapp. That to me just it creates a culture that is not needed.
Yeah. No, it's just an absolute joke, and you see it because the problem with football, and look, even we do it at our level to some extent, is that when you know so much about one topic, you don't you feel as though maybe you don't need to do the research around it. You know what I mean? Like I can talk about Liverpool all day. You know, God, we haven't got a Liverpool topic this week. Everyone will be pleased to know. But you know, you could shit out a Liverpool topic and have an opinion on it. You should do for your own clubs. This is the problem. There are people within the game who are spot on. Like we got to meet Neville and Carragher this week. You could tell. Like we'll watch Ask the Club and we'll talk about that a bit more. We'll do that live. But like Neville and Carragher get a lot of praise, but equally, neither of them. I don't think either of them have put the research in prior to that game. Maybe they would have done leading up to the main broadcast or whatever. But I got a sense more from Neville that he knew a bit more what was going on than Carragher. But neither did. They just rocked up and got told to talk. But and this is where we're trying to be a bit more careful on Social Club this season as well, not to be, you know, not to dig football clubs and all that out when we don't know too much, you know, about the inner workings of them.
Didn't tell me this.
It's on the bottom of that.
But again, the Paul Merson thing, if nothing else, he should be coming out right now. Watford are 4th in the Premier League. You know, he should be coming out and going, my word, I got that wrong. I'm dead sorry. I had no idea.
Hang on, this was evident in the first 4 or 5 games of Marco Silva at Hull.
Yeah.
That he actually knew what he was doing, and he just didn't have the material to work with at Hull. And look at what, like we said, look at what he's done. And now I know we're going to come on to like, is this the sort of route that Arsenal need to go? But they need to get out of this just focusing on Wenger thing. And I think it's going to be actually pretty funny when they do eventually move on from him. Like, what are we going to talk about?
No, true. We'll find the topics of conversation.
I wonder what someone like Paul Merson would have thought when Pochettino rocked up at Southampton.
Same, exactly.
With only being at Espanyol, with only, you know, being a player who wasn't.
And he used to have long hair.
Yeah, he wasn't a massive household name. He was, you know, he was a working kind of player for Argentina. He was, you know, he'd only been to Espanyol and next minute Southampton, next minute Tottenham. So you wonder what his opinion of him would have been. Or, you know, is it the same? Or you should give it to
Gary Megson.
Yeah, you know, Megson or Rowett or, you know, the long list.
Owen Coyle.
The long list that keep on getting the same jobs all the time in England.
Yeah, but this is what happens in these conversations because we all have it. And you know, like, we all have our bubble, don't we? And he's clearly with his old, you know, the ex-players. He's hanging around with the same fellas, and they're going, well, why are they giving it to more English managers? Why aren't more English managers getting a job? And Marco Silva's just fallen foul of being the next foreign manager to come in when he's probably been out with his mates the night for the week before, going, why don't more English guys get the job? Someone's fed that into his head. And instead of stopping and thinking about it, or backtracking like a sensible person when he's been proved wrong, he's just an idiot, so he's just going to keep digging and digging and digging.
Who's bottom of the table? Who's in relegation table zone at the moment?
So you've got, obviously, Roy Hodgson, sound. Want to win, by the way. Have to hold my hands up.
Who else is in the relegation zone?
Bournemouth.
Who manages them?
Eddie Howe.
Where's he from?
Yeah.
Who else is in the relegation zone? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's all, I'm pretty sure it's all English managers in the relegation zone.
You know what?
Anyway.
We can actually genuinely find that out. Leicester City.
Yeah, Leicester.
There you go.
There you go. Who's in 17th? Mark Hughes, Welshman. Yeah. This proves the theory.
And then some Dutch press.
That's true.
But there you go. The relegation zone is occupied by Englishmen only.
Yeah.
Who's at top of the league? Foreigners. All over the place.
Who's at top of the league?
Don't know.
I'll tell you who's not.
Not you.
Not us.
I biggest problem I've got is actually the amount of ex-professionals on the TV, and I think we've done this before. The best show I thought was the European football show, which was on BT, which is no longer on, which was 4 journalists who knew one knew Italian. Funny enough, he's from like Sheffield or somewhere, with really long hair, looks a bit silly. A Frenchman, a German. Occasionally,
like a joke, doesn't it?
No, but they know their countries. I know what the names are. I just don't want to. Andy Brassel would appear on there now and again. I mean, what does he know? He came on our channel and told us, and the ass was amazing. In the end, he was proven right.
Yeah.
But they're individuals who know the leagues and the players of the leagues in and out. And yet we just don't see enough of that on TV. No. Do you know what I mean? Like the likes of Sid Lowe knows the Spanish game in and out. Rory Smith, people like that who are good, intelligent fellas who know the game in and out. They didn't have to play the game. They don't have to play the game. Why aren't they getting more airtime? Because they would have told you probably the in and out of, well, we don't know the ins of Marco Silva, but they would have told you everything you needed to know. But yet we've got the old boys club, like you said, on TV every week, spouting the same old shite. I'll include the likes of Jamie Redknapp and that, Housewives' favourite, who for me...
Chat's wham.
But what he does is he just simplifies football to the simplest level, to the point where you're just like...
Yeah, so idiots are going, I understood all of that, he said.
Oh, so that's a throw-in? Fucking hell. Why...
Do you know who is good?
Go on.
Danny Higginbottom. Because he explains the tactical nuances of the game.
I
like how he explains
I thought Andy Inchcliffe was all right until as a colour commentator until he commentated on one of our games and he was the most horrendously biased thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well,
McManaman's a shocker.
I actually think McManaman, who's the guy who mainly commentates with him for BT, I think they're a decent.
Yeah. It's good when you get a good duo, but I think
he's hard work, McManaman. Terrible.
I don't think he's terrible. Like. But here's the thing: they're few and far between, aren't they? And I think that's why Gary Neville stands out as being great because you get the sense that he knows. But I also my problem with him is that he's definitely biased. He's definitely biased. And
I see no problem with that.
No, exactly. I see no problem with it, but I don't like the fact that he pretends that he's not. Because if he just embraced it, because Carragher embraces it clearly, you know what I mean? Like he can see him, he's constantly winding up about it. I would respect him more if he let on, you know.
Is there also an argument that football moves so quickly that the likes of Paul Merson, their time is gone?
Oh, yeah.
Commentating now or doing what they do on Soccer Saturday.
That's easy.
It would be, yeah. Because I think
actually, a lot of Soccer Saturday's full of idiots.
Well, it is.
Letitia, Thompson, Merson, you're just like, what are you lot doing,
well,
honestly?
Exactly, it's where they've put them. It is an old boys club. But the problem is, if you watch like the Wednesday version, when it's like, and they bring in like Neil Mellor, you see the entertainment value drop, and there must be
entertainment value, but the insight value.
Yeah,
goes
but what you've got to remember is though it's four men describing a football match to you. It's teletext.
True. Yes.
You know what I mean. So I suppose there has to be that certain kind of
fair.
entertainment.
Again, I agree. You're right. There's a balance because there's probably like, to be fair, Danny Murphy, I'll probably get pelters for it. He does genuinely know what he's talking about. He is quite insightful and he does understand the game. You read interviews with him and stuff. He's quite switched on to all that stuff, and he always was as a kid coming through footy. But my God, you wouldn't want to listen. You wouldn't want to listen to him for more than he's on telly. I think there's more
beige. I mean, obviously the most beige man ever, Michael Owen. Like
he's not even beige anymore.
No,
he's beiger than beige. What's beiger than beige? He's like a black hole of fun and entertainment, that man, and personality.
You're right. It'd be better if we had more honesty in football, like Troy Deeney, to make up for that. And no, even with Gary Neville, clearly a massive United fan, clearly revels in watching United win, but sometimes has to go overboard.
Who's reining these in? Because just to get the actual Paul Merson quote from before, again, the Redknapp stuff. People say Redknapp's a wheeler dealer and it's so disrespectful. He said on Sky's a league of their own. Quality. Tactically, he's one of the best I've worked with. If Arsene Wenger had Harry Redknapp's tactical nous, Arsenal would win the league. And then the article I've got here just goes, Redknapp was sacked as Birmingham manager after only 13 games in September.
Unintentional comedy there.
Look, I'm sorry, but this is exactly the bollocks I'm talking about. It's propagating bollocks. It's like, again, it's a self-serving little thing. At what point do the producers of these shows turn around and go, mate, you're chatting shit? The problem is that because these guys have played the game and they're now working under producers who've not played the game, you probably feel shamed into keeping these guys in place.
Probably work with producers who don't even know anything about football.
No, exactly.
Let's be honest. They probably work with people who just go, they just...
I'm making a show.
I'm making a show, I'm making it entertainment. It's about the ratings. It seems to work. What annoys me is that no one ever seems to pull them on it. Does anyone ever, I'm sure Jeff Stelling has a little bit of a laugh going, oh, Silva's done well today. And it's probably like, Mason's probably just waiting for that moment for Silva to lose. I didn't see it, but I imagine his delight when they got beat by Man City must have been, unbelievable. But that's the sad thing. Not, we're just going to give this fella a chance and let's see how he does. I can't wait to see him fail because I said he'd fail.
Exactly. If you think that way as well, you're always going to be right. because everyone loses the job. Everyone falls off a cliff eventually, and you get to go, said that, called that. Yeah, but they've just won 5 leagues and 4 European Cups in the middle. Yeah, well, you know what? He was crap at the start and he was crap at the end, so I was ultimately right.
I tried to call Letizia out on it last year because he gave a hit and miss of United and City signings, and he had Gundogan down as a hit after playing like 5 games and being injured for the whole season, and Pogba down as a miss because he didn't score enough goals. And he said, he's not anywhere near what he was like at Juventus when he was in the World 11 and all that lot. And statistically, he was better in every single metric, Pogba. He was just playing in a worse team. Yeah. That was the problem. Yeah. And he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't even enter any sort of dialogue. He was just being a total
but here's the
prick.
thing they've got, and we're not going to draw you on Paul Pogba now, but it's funny, if I was listening to a wrestling podcast, and there's a guy who writes like a fan newsletter with an opinion on something, and the guy who's been in the wrestling industry for 20 years, and he goes, how many shows has that guy sold? How many matches has he been in? How many things has he booked? How many this and that? And that, you know, for whatever, you get that in footy, and it's that thing of, there's no coming back to these guys because you never played the game. You've got no insight, and here's the thing: I would never claim to have a great tactical insight into footy. But there are some things where you're clearly wrong, and there's nothing wrong with being able to go back and go, yeah, you know what, I haven't got a clue about that. But equally, I also know I've worked with from being with Ball Street for years. We used to get loads of ex-pros on the early shows. The difference between the guys who think they know it all and the guys who genuinely want to impress. Like Adam Virgo works for BT, does a lot of the Scottish football and the lower league stuff. He turned up to do one of the early Ball Street shows, and he had notes, and he was researching it before we went on to the topics, so he knew that what he was talking about was spot on. Whereas you get other guys, I won't name names, but you get guys who just rock up and be like, what am I talking about? Great sound, and you'd have to give them a line to make sure they didn't sound like idiots, and so they could go out there and say it, and but that'll be it, and that's the state of football coverage in this country, isn't it? It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
I mean, on Silva himself though, I mean,
fair play.
He's doing a good job, isn't he? And I think a lot of people will start looking at him, and funny enough, I think Arsenal fans might start looking at him, the way he plays football, the way he mixes it up, the way...
Great tactics, he says everything they're missing.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's got a fancy name as well. They'll love that.
Good looking fella, fancy brand.
He looks a bit like a hitman.
Well, that's fine.
Which, I mean,
if that's what does it for you. I'm not saying it does or doesn't.
I was watching the Milan derby last night, and both of the managers look like hitmen. And I thought that's probably what you need, though.
Maybe
to play in Italy.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Couldn't agree more.
Let us know in the comments. You know, do you think hitmen would make good managers? And give us your thoughts on Marco Silva, and of course Paul Merson. Is he an absolute knobhead? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching Ball Street. We'll see you later.